Hey guys, I wanted to start doing some movie and TV reviews on the channel as well. One I wanted to do a review for is one I had a chance to catch a little while ago when it dropped on Max. Barbie. I didn't go see it in the theater, but I knew as soon as it came on streaming I was going to check it out. I don't go see a lot of movies anymore. It's not because it's Barbie, whatever, because I heard great things. For the most part, I just wait. We all know what Barbie is, the actual character and stuff like that. And by this point, most people have seen the movie. They've had their thoughts. What I found interesting and why I wanted to talk about it here is that when I try to talk about this movie on the internet in any way that isn't favorable, I'm labeled sexist and a-hole. No one cares about what you think about this movie. You're a man. You wouldn't understand this, that, and the fourth. You're not allowed to say anything that isn't positive about the movie. And that's something that always sucks about properties towards women. That there becomes a gatekeeping mentality, sort of like what nerds do with nerd culture. Women will do the same thing, and it's weird. It's like you should want other people in. Because this was my thing. One of the things I said somewhere was that I was curious about going in. Why was this so successful? Why was it so beloved? And I have people jumping on me. It's like, oh, because it's a woman thing. Oh, did you feel that way when that garbage movie Aquaman made $1 billion? Yes, yes. I 100% asked that question when it made $1 billion. I did not go see that in the theater either. When it came on Blu-ray, I watched it. I still don't have an answer to that question. I do not know why people loved it that much. It wasn't that great of a movie. Barbie is way better than it, but you can't just say it's just for women if it makes over $1 billion. If you make over $1 billion, people don't understand how rare that still is. And they keep judging movies based on whether or not they make $1 billion because MCU and Star Wars they were able to accumulate so many. But even for them, it's still rare. It just there became a pocket where they were hitting it. So even like the solo movies like Black Panther and Captain Marvel were hitting it along with your team ups. But they're still rarities. And but you have several that even after Endgame have gotten up to Spider Man who made $1 billion plus. And then you have several movies like Wakanda Forever and Doctor Strange, Guardians 3 that have done buku bucks, not $1 billion, but 700, $800 million. That is crazy, crazy successful. But we don't look at it like that. But so that's my curiosity is what kept bringing people back because it's not just going to be for women. For it to be in the same way, John Wick being successful isn't just because dudes are going to go. There's a lot of dudes that'll go for sure, but there's going to be women that want to go as well. So what is about it that is drawing people in more and more? There's plenty of women I've seen will watch the John Wick movies and they'll get involved or they'll love the choreography, things like that. So it's never when something is super successful, there's a reason beyond it's hitting for its core audience because you can't make $1 billion off your core audience. So I was curious about that, and it wasn't a diss on it being a women thing or anything of that nature. Um, then I made some comments about certain things that just became tropey for me, or it has been in recent years to a point where when they were doing it in Barbie, it just was kind of eye rolly to me. So one was there was a scene of catcalling in it, and it feels like whenever you're trying to do these types of movies, they will make sure they'll get a catcalling scene in it, and that is what it is. I'm not saying you don't shouldn't focus on that. That is something that women have to go through. That's never been what I said, even though people extrapolated different things to what I've been saying. But what I said was I wish they had came from it at a more creative way because they literally presented it like the way we've seen it for years and years. The guys at the construction site, like, hey, yo, I like to see what's under that skirt and all of that stuff. And we've seen that over and over, and that may have been the point in the scene, like let's literally do the version of it that we've seen, but then kind of flip it with the way that Barbie doesn't really know how to. Barbie and Ken don't know how to respond to it. But I just because I know there's different types of catcalling and different things they have to go to, but you don't see them shown as much. Like I've seen videos of women videotaping themselves as they walk down the street, or I've just seen it myself where it's like very aggressive, like pulling an arm or like trying to stop women from walking, and how verbally abusive it can turn when the rejection comes and things of that nature. And you don't really get to see that as much, but you see the ha 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 what's going on here. You see that stuff. So I was just looking for something a little bit more creative in a movie that I felt was creative in certain ways. But then people took it the wrong way. It's like, oh, we got a problem with catcalling stuff. And that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I was saying then. It's not what I'm saying now. It's really frustrating to be trying to talk and express yourself, but a lot of people just they want to remove context or they just want to hear what they want to hear. So it just becomes hard to get your message out. The other thing I was talking about was my issues with the certain scenes of America Ferrera's character, who is the character in the movie, um, where she just sort of monologuing about how hard it is to be a woman, just because it's not about the sentiment, or I don't understand why women wouldn't enjoy that. I mean, why women would enjoy that. It's not that. It's just that I've seen that same speech done over and over again with your She-Hulks and your Captain Marvels and your things of that nature, where it's just we're not even doing dialogue at that point. It's just ranting because the parties want to get that out. They just want that in the script. And I get that. It could be cathartic for the women who have to go through it. And I'm not saying that there isn't plenty of things that aren't difficult for women, but I just wish there was more creative ways they can do it where it's just not the same. Let's just regurgitate the basically the same stuff word for word that we hear over and over again. Just do it in a more creative or succinct way, or have it come out in a more realistic way instead of just stopping the script to just have the women monologue. It just tropes tropes come in many different flavors, and as time goes on, you get more tropes. Now, I don't think that all tropes are bad. It's just that some of them you could just get tired of them after a while. But it's no offense to anyone involved, and it's not a bad thing. It's just just sometimes it's like I get it. Could we bring something else to the table here? I would feel the same way if I was watching movies and every movie with a black cast, at some point they just started talking about how hard it is to be black. I'd be like, I I get it. I don't need that in so many of these movies. Every time I see them, it sort of pushes people away. It comes off kind of hacky at times, depending on how you do it, because there's a certain way to write it to make it really hit. Otherwise, it just feels like you're just kind of talking. But another thing that I found interesting was that Ken was the most interesting character for me, and Ryan Gosling was my favorite performance. And I've noticed that in some movies where it's very female led, the they'll have a man, like I think of like the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy. To this day, people will talk more about Jason Statham in that movie than anybody else. The Ghostbusters reboot from 2016. Chris Hemsworth was the funniest thing in that movie. Most people will tell you that. People complain about the movie, but they don't complain about his performance. And then we have this here. And this is a knock on Margot Robbie or America Ferrera or anyone else, Kate McKinnon, anyone else that was in the movie. But I thought with Ryan Gosling, every choice he was making, every line he was given, it was just super interesting. Like they put a ton of thought into his character. It felt like Ryan did too, and it was just like it was just comedic magic every time he was on screen. Whereas the Barbie stuff was we've kind of seen before where it's Barbie being in a Barbie world and then being pulled into the real world, seeing the differences. It's a fish out of water thing and things of that nature. But the stuff with Ken was really interesting because, in a lot of ways, the Barbies were the enemy in a way they kept the Kens down. Because it isn't, with the Barbies, it's kind of opposite world. So it's kind of, the Kens are put in a position that women feel like they feel like second class citizens, and it's hard for them to get in certain places of power and to feel powerful, things of that nature. That's what the Kens are going through. They're just there to just kind of exist. And there's plenty of movies where the women are just there to exist, just to be eye candy. We don't really care about what they got to say or anything like that. So I feel like that was deliberate. So I don't think anyone's being revolutionary by saying that that was deliberate to flip the script. But I just find it interesting when the Kens decide to rise up, because it would be very easy to paint them as villains for trying to turn everything around and make everything more Ken like after Ken's experience in the real world, because he takes something different from it than what Barbie took, and he would, because it's a man seeing how men are treated in the real world, and that's a kind of funny thing. I feel like if you took someone who didn't know this world, the world we live in, and then you implanted them in this, it would take you longer than what Ken took to fully understand the dynamics of what's going on here. It's not that cut and dry, that obvious that men men have more power in this world. It would take you a little while to really figure that out. But it's a comedy. I don't want to dig too much into it, but I found everything about Ken learning and taking that back and rise. I just found that more interesting about what was going on with Barbie, but that's mostly because I've seen stories like that before. But the Ken part, partially because it was unexpected. I thought that Ken and the Kens just would be like this funny byproduct of like these bimbo men on the side, but I appreciate Greta Gerwig giving them their own story too, because that's another thing you see a lot with movies where, okay, it's female led, so then we could do what a lot of men do to us in certain movies where, okay, the men aren't anything, they don't get their own character, they're not important, they're off to the side, they're just eye candy. Yeah, let's reverse it. And to me, I think it's better that as time goes on, both parties are treated as real characters. It's not really a gender thing. It's just you have characters in this movie. Make us give a damn about them. Don't just write certain genders a certain way over others or things of that nature. Write it so that all we about think about more than just one side of it. Get get feedback from different genders, races, parties, so you can integrate more of how they would react to certain things in it, possibly. Um, but I appreciate that it wasn't just a guys on the side movie. You have them in there, give them something to do, give them story as well. Overall, I thought the movie was pretty funny, but it wasn't knockout funny to me. I enjoyed it, but it's not something I could see myself really ever going back to. It I enjoyed it in a moment, and that's the thing. Most movies to me are that way, and that's another thing that may have been taken the wrong way by other people. I feel like most movies are fine, not terrible, not great, but fine, or they're okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's why there's a lot of movies where I just take it in and then all right, I can move on. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but overall, that's my thoughts on Barbie. I thought it was very good, not great. Flirting with it, it could have been a really great movie if I feel like certain themes were expounded upon, or I thought that I felt it dragged a little bit. There's ways I felt it could have been more creative, not go for the easy jokes in certain places so much. But overall, I thought it was entertaining and engaging in the moment. It's just not gonna stick with me long term. But that's more of a my thoughts on Barbie than a full blown review. Um, but let me know what you guys thought of Barbie, because it's hard to talk about this stuff as a guy. You just to me, I'm just viewing it as a movie. I'm not trying to tear anything down that women love or anything of that nature, but I talk about movies all the time, not even just here, just I do with friends, whatever. I enjoy movies, TV, things like that. So you want to be able to talk about them, but hopefully here and on this channel, it's a safe space to just talk, and then the people come. You can't control what people come in or what they take away from everything, but I just hope people really listen, try to understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to come with any malice. People don't need to come, even if you disagree with what I say or feel some type of way. We could just talk about it. You don't have to be angry or aggro or just throwing words at me, insults and things of that nature. I'm not gonna do that to you. So, but let me know what you guys thought of Barbie after you finally saw it. It's on Max right now, so if you have Max, you can stream it. Obviously, on all the other avenues, you can watch it. It's finally here. So let me know what you think. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye for now.